Hello, beautiful warrior women. Karen McCoy here. I promised you, ladies, that I would show you my menopausal formula, if you will. So I put up on our Over 40 Fit and Lean private Facebook page about me doing bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. And I've been doing it for years. And it probably gained more comments than any other post that I've done. And what I do recognize is that perimenopause and menopause is a big, big thing with us 40 plus women. Of course it is. And what I also know is that there's a lot of misinformation. There's also a lot of options. And so I just want to share with you. Now, before I share my protocol, I want to say that we need to advocate for ourselves. So I heard from many of you that your doctor doesn't listen to you, your pharmacist doesn't listen to you, you're in an area where you can't get access to that kind of help. You wonder if there's online help. I probably wouldn't recommend online. I wouldn't anyways, because we're going to talk about you need to be tested at a lab and to be overseen by somebody on a continuous basis. And so just don't stop looking, guys. Just don't stop looking. There are a lot of different options. And what I also know is that there's different options in the United States and Canada. Again, it's just different, right? And so that needs to be come into it as well. What I do know is that how your mother went through it is not how you're going to go through it. Because my mother breezed through, and she's always looking at me going, what's wrong with you? Because I started in my late 40s with symptoms. And she said, who knows? She said she didn't feel a thing. So also my pregnancy and my delivery was totally different than my mother's. My mother spit us out. Me, I was in labor for 3 days. So we can't go by what our mothers went through, although there can be some commonalities, of course. But the biggest thing is to get educated and to advocate for yourself. And if you're not getting the answers, then knock on the next door. Seriously. When I walk into my doctor's office, which is very rare, it's usually to get some kind of a referral or something like that. I walk in, he's like, okay, what do you need? What do you want? Because I am not of the generation nor of the thought that he knows my body and he's going to be able to give me what I need. I do a lot of research. I know my body. Of course, if there's going to be surgery and stuff like that, yeah, I put it in their hands. But when it comes to something as intimate and complicated as hormones, most GPs do not get any length of time studying them. And a lot of them are still under the old standby where they're given free packets of estrogen or progesterone, and they dole these out to their women. Well, that's so old school. And that's what a lot of our mamas went through. Like, why would you just, oh, you have hot flashes here, have estrogen. What? I'm sorry, but that can actually be the worst thing. But that's still how a lot of them operate, right? Or they see it as a mental condition, or they give you antidepressants. So this is all old stuff, guys. Let me also say, I am not a specialist in this, okay? I'm just sharing with you my protocol. I'm not a specialist. I don't teach this stuff. I have a woman who works with me, with my women who are in my program, which is a paid program. It's a 20-week program, the mastery program, and they can call on her if they choose to. It's not mandatory. And she has her own viewpoint. So we have our own viewpoints, but we're working together because I found that I needed somebody who could speak the language, who had the certification and the background in women and hormones, and who also is one who has gone through it, because I think that's super, super important. And so she works with me. So what she has is she has a free quiz. And again, I don't get any kickback from this, guys, none whatsoever. But she has a quiz where you can just go in and do the quiz. The symptoms will come up and you can book a free complimentary call with her. I will put that in the comments down below. So fill your boots if you want to. If you don't want to, that's okay too. So again, I am not the expert. So here's what I found. So there's so many different ways of handling it. The old way is to tough it out. And if you want to tough it out, that's fine. Cool. There is flower essences that some women use. There's herbal remedies that some women use. There are tinctures that some women use. There is there is hormone replacement therapy, and there's bioidentical hormone replacement therapy. There's so many different ways of serving it up. It can be pellets, it can be cream, it can be patches, it can be pills. Like there's so many different ways, right? So again, I'm just going to show you how I do it. Now, I do bioidenticals. It's not for everybody, but I'm very comfortable with my choices. I know all the research and the fear around hormone replacement therapy and cancers, but what a lot of women and still doctors don't recognize is it was a failed study in 2002 with the World Health Organization where they were using ill women, women who were not healthy, and they were getting hormone replacement therapy, and the results were very bad. Now, years later, they pulled it back and went, uh-oh, we're wrong, bad study, ignore. But it's not ignored because fear is the one thing that's ingrained in our brain. We're born with it, right? And so we grab onto it, and a lot of practitioners do too. So there are certain times, and again, I'm not the specialist, I'm not the one to tell you this, but there are certain chemistry, biochemistry, and certain times and certain lifestyles and certain genetic factors that will come into play, that is something that you need to talk to your practitioner about, okay? But you also have to make sure you have a practitioner, and this is really important, that is up on this stuff, that knows the pros and cons. Now, here's the deal. A lot of practitioners, whether they're doctors, whether they're naturopaths, whether they're nurse practitioners, they can still have a fear of hormones, okay? And this is one thing that I have not bought into. So there's a fear of just do as little as you can just to get over the symptoms and then get off them because they're dangerous, right? I don't buy into that. I buy into my choice, which is bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, which is still compounded. So they say they're natural. Well, they're natural, but they're still compounded in a pharmacy, guys. So they don't come from plants, okay? There are, again, other things you can go and you can try the plant option. Didn't work for me, but you can try it. And you can go to your health food store and you can check with them, or you can check with an herbalist. So there, again, other options. But what I found, and the point I'm making here, is that there's still a lot of fear around it. And that fear can go into the practitioner, which again creates a belief system in the client. Oh, this isn't good. Why are hormones not good, guys? They're life affirming. They give us babies. They give us energy. Hormones lower heart disease, lower Alzheimer's, all sorts of different things that I won't go into here. And what they recognized is that a lot of our diseases, heart disease being the number one killer of women in menopause, a lot of our diseases can be thwarted if we manage and balance our hormones, right? And so I went into the research and I'm very comfortable with my choice. And I have been doing bioidenticals for 14 years. I have no desire to go off them. I will go to my grave using bioidenticals. They work for me. I'm very comfortable with them. I see them as building healthy aging. A lot of people don't. And they're like, oh, you're crazy. You're hurting your health, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So again, you have to be comfortable with the choice, but I want you to be educated first before you start to decide, because the groupthink out there, if you're Googling HRT, what's going to happen? You're going to get all the bad news first, because that's where it goes to when you do a Google search. You have to go deeper into the text. Like, I'm just trying to think of some of them. PubMed is good. A lot of the universities in the States have very, very good scientific research you can dig into. Your practitioner may not even have access to all of this. So again, it is buyer beware, but you need to understand where your belief system is landing, because that belief system is going to create the choice that's going to move you forward in this life. So be very careful. Are you in fear or are you in openness and choice? And there can always be a little bit of fear around it because hormones are a big thing. But I have been using the same protocol for 14 years. Now, there's different ways of testing it. There's saliva, there's blood. I use the blood. That is what my endocrinologist, she's also a doctor, a GP, but she's also an endocrinologist. And so She does blood work once a year, and I also get a whole slew of questions sent out because these questions lead to looking at how's your thyroid, how's your adrenal, how's your mind, brain fog, if there is any, all of that kind of stuff. She's taking a full picture of my symptoms, which will allow her to understand where my hormone levels are. Now, do you know there's like 15 hormones in the body? So a lot of people think it's just estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, DHEA, cortisol, insulin. No, there's so many more. So when I went to my practitioner, it was actually because I had pigmentation on my skin from years of tanning when I was when I was bodybuilding, because in the early days of bodybuilding we didn't get tanning lotion. It just wasn't available, and so we had to sit in the bloody tanning bed, right, for like hours and hours and hours. I actually stopped tanning in my 30s, which was a good thing. I think that saved my skin. And but I went to her and she said, "How are you doing?" And I was in my late uh, how old was I? I would have been mid to late 40s. Yeah, late 40s. And she said, "How are you?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm tired. I mean, but you think you're tired and busy because life is busy. I have my son, he has special needs. I have a husband, I have pets, I have a house, I have a full coaching business. I train. So I have a lot of stuff going on." And so I looked at it like it was just life. So when I hear women say it's just life, I kind of look a little bit deeper because I know this story. And so she said to me, after she worked on my skin and got all that pigmentation off, which I'm thankful for, she said to me, "Have you ever had your hormones checked?" And I went, "No, I have not." And I've always been open. I've always been curious. I'm a sponge. I want to learn. I'm all about learning about the female body. And I use a lot of my learning and experience from what I put myself through because this is important to me. My health is important to me and I want to know. So I said, sure, let's do it. So I paid for the test and all my hormones came back and we went through everything. And again, I'm sitting there learning. She's not telling. I'm like, well, what does this mean? What does this mean? What does this mean? And so what we found in my hormonal profiles, my testosterone had tanked. So there are averages where your testosterone should go when it comes to a measurement. Again, I'm not going to go over that. It's scientific, and it's not my path. I stay in my path, but I have my paperwork, and every year I get it. Every year, and I've gone over it with her again and again, and it includes blood work. It includes looking at like all these different kinds of blood enzymes that I'm like, whoa, we're pretty complex, but I go through it all with her because I want to know. These are the biomarkers, and this is what we need to know. But again, that's me. I'm not going to sit there and just say, give me information, tell me what to do. Oh, no. No, no, girlfriend. So my body, my choice, my life. So I want to be educated on that. And I also find it fascinating. So we went through everything. My testosterone had tanked. And what's it due to? Who knows? Who cares? Could it be years of exercise? Like a lot of people who don't exercise like to blame exercise. No, I think I'm pretty healthy, but who knows? Who knows? But also it drops as you age. My progesterone was tanked. Now, progesterone is your feel good. It is your natural antidepressant. So I had no idea. And a lot of doctors just prescribe estrogen without the progesterone. Well, the ratios is what you're looking for. So when you go into perimenopause, what happens is the progesterone drops, right? Because this is the one that keeps the baby in the uterus. This is all about that while you're getting older. And the body goes, okay, you're not going to have babies anymore. We're going to drop that. We don't need it. What happens then is your estrogen, you're not creating more. It's just estrogen dominant. And it's that ratio that needs to be maintained for feeling good and operating well, having recovery, strong immune system, strong organs, strong heart, all that stuff. And so it also explained why I had 3 miscarriages. No doctor explained it to me. They were all at 3 months. And my progesterone had tanked. And what they did was one doctor sent off the fetus to see if there was something wrong with the fetus. There wasn't. But nobody ever explained to me about progesterone. And I was in my mid-30s at the time. So no doubt it started to drop. So it was just so interesting. And so we went through everything. And then she made up a recipe for me where I have my bioidentical hormones that I take every day. And I'll share this with you right now. Okay, so again, please, this is my summary, okay? You cannot take what I do and apply it to you. It's just like you can't eat how I eat. You can't train how I train because it's very individualized and hormones are way more complex than food and training. So you need to have somebody on your side. What I want to share with you, because there's not enough conversation around this. And again, this is my protocol. The lady who works with me, she has a herbal and tincture remedy. So a lot of women are more comfortable with that. And my women who go through the mastery program with us, they have a choice to chat with her about that. They can feel it out, see if it's good, see if it's not. And again, it's all choice. But that is her focus, and she's very good at it. My focus is not teaching bioidenticals, but I like them. It works for me, so I'm not changing. So the first, probably the main one is here's my progesterone, right? So this is, again, mine is set at a certain milligram. And so they're just pills. And I take 1 or 2 every night. Progesterone is actually a natural relaxer as well. So it can help with sleep. Now, I found that it didn't help with sleep because I have a very active mind and I have a lot of, it's just the way I am. So if you're looking for something to help you, this can help you and it helps a lot of women. I didn't find it helped me, but that's okay. It's just because of my biochemistry and my brain, I have a hard time shutting it off. So I used 1 or 2 capsules of this. And so this again is progesterone. There is estradiol, which is estrogen. Okay, so this is a different form. This is the more workable form of estrogen. It's estradiol, and I am at 0.5 milligrams, so pretty minimal. Sometimes women go up to like 2 milligrams. Again, that just depends on where you're at, what your symptoms are, if you're in perimenopause or if you have excess bleeding or whatever. Again, this has to be talked about with your practitioner. These are very tiny pills. So I just bite one in half and I take one in the morning. I take this in the morning. The third one is testosterone. So this is a cream. So I know down in the US, a lot of times they do pellets, right, under the skin. Don't know why, but I guess it releases, right? So they have their way of doing it. There is testosterone patches. There is also sublingual and a pill form of testosterone. I have used a cream form. So it's just you pop the top off, you give it a squirt, and I can't remember how much it sends out to me, and I rub it into my skin, right? So this is the one that gives you a lot of energy. It helps with your helps with sex if you're feeling really low in the sexual area. It can help with training too because you're getting energy. This is probably one of my most important. I would say this and progesterone are my 2 biggies for sure. That's where I felt the most. And then the last one is DHEA. DHEA, they call the master hormone, and this is the one that can take the place of other hormones that aren't in there. So the DHEA, I'm not very consistent with this one, but this again is in pill form. So I take 1 estradiol in the morning or half of one, and I take my testosterone in the morning because if you take it at night, it can make you feel energized. You want to go to sleep. So I don't take that at night. And I take the DHEA in the morning because I remember it, and the progesterone is at night, right? So what we do is every year I get my blood work done. I go to the lab, I pay the lab fees. Yes, I pay my practitioner as well. So a lot of women, again, want to do it without any financial investment. If you can, great. I have, or my husband has a health plan. It covers some of it. But even before he had that, you bet I'm paying. It's my body. And if I go once a year and it has to cost me, I don't know, $300, $400 for tests once a year, hell yes, I'm going to do that, right? Some people spend that on Starbucks in a month. So that is my priority. It's important to me. And I go every single year. And I do the questionnaires. I do the lab. We look at the labs. We look at my symptoms or lack of symptoms. How are you doing? All that stuff. And I feel great. I feel great. So I have found a recipe, a formula that works. Rarely do I ever have to change it. Actually, I haven't changed it in years. And I think, if I may add this in, what makes it all work, guys, what knits it all together is the consistency in the protocol, having a good practitioner, finding your recipe and staying with it, but the food and the exercise has to come into play. And that exercise, the weight training, is still the best, and this has been proven for decades, guys. And the food has to be consistent. No diets, no cutting carbs. Oh, please, no cutting carbs. No cutting calories, no cardio, okay? Because what happens is when your hormones are changing and you're going into, or you're in perimenopause, you're in a chronic sympathetic state, which means your body is already under stress. And hormonal changes is stressful to the body as well. Doesn't mean it's bad. It's just a stress. It's challenging the organism, which is us, right? And so then what happens is women are all over the place, and then they cut their food, or they try this diet, they try that diet, because there can be, and some women have gained weight, or the menobelly, as they call it, probably because their hormones are unregulated and they're all over the place, and they turn to cutting food or doing keto or doing low carb or more cardio, when in fact they need to get their hormones balanced. And then what I've also learned, and I'll just finish with this, is those of us that have been training right with strength training 5 days a week and managing our food consistently without diets, but having whole foods. And so I'm all about the warrior woman approach is always about eating in season and eating close to Mother Earth, always, always, always. And those create strong biochemistry in the body. So when we do hit the storm, so the storm comes, we're already in homeostasis, which is balance. Our body is primed through exercise and proper food management to be able to stay steady state as best it can when the hormones start to shift. And when the hormones start to shift, then you can go and get support for it. Or you can choose not to, guys. Again, you don't have to. If there's a fear, if you want to do it naturally, then do it, right? And some women will experience extreme symptoms and other women will not. And again, sometimes that's a crapshoot. Sometimes it's because of their lifestyle or their stress factors or their lack of proper food and movement. So it can be those things too. But what one woman does to help her symptoms cannot be applied to what you do, because the body is so different and the workings are so intricate that any little shift can put you into like feeling great or like down the rabbit hole. So it really is a fine balancing act. And you need to find somebody that can help you with that. Get educated, open your mind, and be open to what other women are doing. And there's a lot of Facebook pages, a lot of chats around this too. There's a lot of that stuff out there. I find sometimes when you land there, those women are selling a book, or they're selling hormone replacement protocol from a company with supplements. And it's so interesting because it's like every third or fourth ad on Facebook is now towards us menopausal women. Oh, now you're listening to us. Really? What happened 30, 40, 50, 100 years ago? We were seen as crazy. Hysterectomies were because the doctors said that we went into hysteria, meaning we were crazy in the head because the womb was floating around in the body, creating hysteria. That's where the word hysterectomy came from. Are you friggin' kidding me? Oh my God. So anyways, the dark ages. Some people still live in the dark ages, guys. I know it's out there and it's a scary fact. So I hope this was helpful to you. I hope that you can gain a sense of trust or deeper understanding. And let's not make our hormones wrong. I see them as life affirming. With my choice, I'm happy with the research that says it lowers Alzheimer's. Look at what's happening with Alzheimer's. It's crazy. Everybody's getting it in their old age. It lowers heart disease. It maintains lean muscle mass. It maintains fat at a regular level. Excuse me, metabolism. Although metabolism is not about burning fat, but we use it in that context. So proper fat management, energy, vitality, good sex drive, good hair, skin, and nails, for sure. It definitely helps with skin elasticity, all of that stuff, right? But there's other choices. And so I encourage you to go through and talk with other women. And women are really great about talking now, and I love that. And so things like Facebook, they do good because women can get in there and you can have 100 women on a chat and you can see all the different opinions. We didn't have that. We didn't have that even 30 years ago, right? And women were suffering in silence. So just know that there's choices out there and those and being able to talk with somebody about it and talk with women in your area and find out where they're going and who they're seeing and what's worked for them. And if you're comfortable like with naturopath approach, then do that. If you're comfortable with a doctor's approach or an endocrinologist, you can go to clinics as well. There's a lot of different clinics, and on the post on this page, on the Over 40 Fit and Lean page, for those women who are watching this not on Over 40 Fit and Lean, there was a whole host of women that were chiming in with helping other women in their area saying, well, I'm here and I'm going here. And have you heard of this doctor? So that is the positive aspects of social media. It's really, really important. So I hope that helped you guys. I really, really do. It can be a storm for sure, but it can also be a wonderful learning experience. And please do well with your food. Please do well with your strength training and find a protocol that you can stay consistent in. And I found it took me about 2 months on my protocol before I remember saying to my husband, oh, it's like the sun's coming out. That gray cloud that I didn't even know was there. I just thought it was life. It started to lift, and I remember saying, "I can, it's like I can see the sun again." That was my experience. So find your own experience, and don't stop, and don't let anybody tell you if they say no. Move on to somebody else. Your body, your choice, your life, your future. Okay, you guys, be well. Thanks for listening. Ciao.